The Jamaica 60 independence celebrations cost taxpayers over $400 million. The Grand Gala accounted for 31% of that, or $129 million. Dr. Sonia Standing-Naya, Senior Lecturer in Cultural Studies, will share her perspective on the spend. Good morning, Doc. Welcome to Smile Jamaica. It's morning time.
Good morning, Dahlia, and good morning, viewers.
Always a pleasure to have you. So I think a lot of the conversation, Doc, is rooted in whether or not the spend was excessive or was it worth it. So I'm going to start there with that broader perspective. What are your thoughts?
Every year we have this conversation about the benefits, weighing the cost versus the benefits of independence celebrations.
Yes.
We also get into a huff about whether we should be celebrating emancipation. It's so close to independence. Emancipation is a big spend. But of course, for Jamaica 60, the big 60, it was a big celebration and of course a big price tag. Mm-hmm. My argument is that as a country with a global footprint, as a cultural superpower, we have constantly underestimated the value of culture. Even though we are a global superpower where culture is concerned, we constantly do not invest in culture. And, hats off to those successive administrations, cultural ministers and so on, who have been given responsibility to advance cultural development in Jamaica. But we're still not doing enough. And so my argument is we need to address underinvestment in culture across the country. The focus has always been Kingston or Montego Bay. And we need to get into Portland. We need to get into St. Elizabeth. We need to get into Manchester. Why are we only focused on big events like the Grand Gala? And yes, as a country like Jamaica, big celebrations are important, but I find that we spend a lot of energy doing a one-shot event, but not sustainably funding what would be important for preservation of culture, for advancement of, look at the screen. I think, for example, that there is need for investment in traditional dance. Mm-hmm. Junkuno masquerading. Where is the investment that we are seeing that would cause us to have a Junkuno event around, independence celebrations?
Yeah. So I'm hearing you. Okay. Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, I'm hearing you say two things. One thing is clarifying that it is important, but that it should also be more of a extended to the wider Jamaica and not just a single event.
Yes, and I'm also saying that our look at one time in the year is unproductive and unsustainable. Where is the work that is leading up to our independence, our emancipation celebrations? And I know, for example, and we must give credit where credit is due, that the long-standing work of the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission and the festival tradition and so on, very important, and there is so much credit that can be given to the JCDC in relation to the development of the performing arts in Jamaica. But where is the investment beyond that project we don't even have a proper performing arts high school. We have one Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, which for me is an elite institution when you consider teacher-student ratio. It's an elite institution, and we are not looking seriously at how to properly fund an institution like that. And of course, there's a larger conversation about funding tertiary institutions in Jamaica. Anyway, it's a global conversation. But I'm suggesting that we might, as a country, look properly, sustainably at our cultural development and invest $403 million. It's almost $500 million. We need to be considering where that investment could have been put for better benefits.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges that we have with cultural investment, Doc, there are some things in the cultural and creative economy that you can tangibly say, okay, I spent X and I'm getting Y. I think when it comes on to things such as the social good and the development of human capital, where you can't necessarily put a figure, I think that's where we get into the gray area, where people say, why are we spending this? What are we getting back? I think people expect it to always be a monetary return. Are those some of the challenges that we have?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That we don't understand that investment in cultural and creative industries, for example, and this is a broad category we are using, or even a cultural economy, that investment is undoubtedly important. And I want to start by saying this is all important to cultural identity.
Yes.
And that is something that is little understood. And as a country, we have managed to do this on the backs of ordinary Jamaicans who have put Jamaica on the map, whether it is the Rastas, whether it is the reggae artists. There is a cultural capital that we have built without proper facilitation from the powers that be, let me put it that way. Mm-hmm. And now we can see in 2024 that the powers have logged on in some way, shape, or form, but there is still so much further to go. Can you imagine if we were investing in culture, really and truly?
There's an understanding that's required. I mean, as you said, when I look at the Grand Gala and I see the cost of the costumes, when I see the number of people involved in the different groups, it is a lot. It is a lot.
It's a big economy. It's a big economy that we're talking about.
And it's a catch-22, because if you don't celebrate it, people say, oh my gosh, we did nothing. And if you do celebrate it, they say, what's the figure? So I think a better
Public education, though. Public education, Delia.
Correct.
It comes back to how it is we're orienting our people about the importance of culture and cultural assets.
Yes.
And Jamaica has given an embarrassment of cultural riches to the world.
Yes.
We here in Jamaica are still the ones considering what it is we have created.
Yeah, so I'm taking away two things from this discussion. The public education is necessary, but I feel also if there's consistency, then people will have a better understanding of what it takes to execute things of this nature. And then we'll see more of this across. We don't have performing arts venues in our parishes. We do not.
Or institutions that are training people sustainably.
Yeah.
And when we can get on a high horse about, entertainment for tourism and so on, let's start with ourselves first.
Yes. It's important. Always great talking to you, Doc.
Thank you, Delia. Always good to be here.
Dr. Sonia Stanley Naya, Senior Lecturer in Cultural Studies. The second edition of News in 5 is next.